Well, south of the video store is a show called Off Our Stones. We got Andrew and me and a friend Cody. We're gonna rank some fucking songs. Rank some songs, gonna air rank songs. The longest in the whole damn town. Longer than old King Kong. Meaner than a junkyard dog.
Oh, this episode's gonna be great.
We're already in protest.
Already in protest. So real fast, guys. Welcome to Off Our Stones, episode number 26. The show where Brooklyn and I took a look at the Rolling Stone top 500 list and went, "You got like some things correct, but like most of this is kind of like wrong." Brooklyn, what are your quick thoughts today?
We're kind of like Joshua Wiseman, where it's like, hey, let's take this McDonald's sandwich and we'll make it even better. We're just trying to do that.
Play the music. All right. Well, Cody is here as well. Cody's the voice of the people. He's got one switcheroo left, no vetoes. So Cody, some quick thoughts on the playlist today.
I thought last episode these two have tested my patience. This episode, as I dug into it, I've been carrying this thoughts all weekend. I just let it go for a while, but today I just let loose. Andrew Barr is a hack, and not even a good hack. He is a horrible human being. He's an anti-Philadelphia Phillies fan. He's a fake Philadelphia sports fan. I want that on the record as soon as the start. Dylan Van Thine and me were talking about 500 Stones, and he's like, I read like this past episode, not this one, the past one. He's like, oh, what is this? Just to pick the most basic songs possible and put them on a top 500 list. And I was like, well, they have a tough task. Like I was defending them. Not anymore, Dylan. Basic ass people are here. They are disrespectful. They don't know how to make a list, and they have created. I need a veto in the worst way. I would sell my oldest right now for a veto. This is crazy. This episode's gonna break me inside.
We can talk about selling.
I have a price.
Yeah, we have price. We have prices.
Yeah,
I have a Venmo, so okay.
All right. Well, let's get things started with number 40 on our combined list.
I can't wait for this other phone to be high up.
A Day in the Life by the Beatles. Brooklyn, you have this higher.
No Joe Cocker? Interesting.
So yeah, this was my favorite Beatles song for a long while. I always go back and forth between this and Get Back. But this is also like an incredible record, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts. It does my favorite thing in Beatles songs where every person kind of gets a chance to kind of shine. I think like John and Ringo do a really good job in like that opening. Like I read the news today, oh boy, and then then Paul has his moment. It's a little more upbeat. I really like Ringo's work in the verses, and then just like the strings and like we talk about George Martin a lot and like how like even his influence is really kind of put forward in it. But yeah, what a great way to kind of close a record, and then especially like just the little thing at the end. They cut it off with the radio play, but if you listen to the album, and I think even on this version, they do a little loop thing. Like it sounds like John's kind of going crazy, but it's just a cool little way to have a closer. But yeah, this song has been on I think both iterations of the list. We're getting near the end of Beatles, I believe. I'm not sure how many more are left, but
I think there's one left after this. I think, but yeah,
we only have 40 more songs. So how many more could there possibly be?
That's just math. Yeah. So this episode is going to be something else. Yeah. So it's the composition and the recording of this song that I think are really, really good. Like, you kind of have like these two completely different songs, like woven together. You have like the John and Ringo part, and then you have the Paul part. It's just like this little simple, woke up, got out of bed, dragged a comb across my head. You know, your typical Paul shtick versus what John would normally write. But they work together really well because the music just really, really stands out in this one. And you're right, George Martin's production on this one is pretty much the reason he's the fifth Beatle. Like the way it kind of like fades in and out in some particular parts, and then that giant crescendo at the end, leading into that just one sustained chord on the piano. It's just a really interesting, well put together piece of music. But I want to hear what Cody has to say. Because I respect Cody's opinion.
Don't talk anymore. You're done. Shout out the motherfucking Wrecking Crew. I don't know if they're here, but I'm just going to say it. I think I've said my piece on the Beatles at this point. They're considered the greatest band. I think that's a fair statement. They're not my favorite band. They have good ones. They also have, like, let's just be real, they have a lot of, like, it's the 60s and stuff when they were doing this. There's a lot of shit with psychedelics and shit. You can just tell in some of their music. They're high as fuck. Which is fine.
Really?
Not shaming the high game, but I'm just saying they're high as fuck. They're a little weird. It is what it is. This song, I don't think I've ever. I think I was talking. Sorry, you're interrupting again. You piece of shit. Again, dead to me. Benedict Arnold's up there. I just want that to be known. I don't think I've ever listened to this song in its entirety before this week. But I had a new found respect for it by listening to it. I would first listen all over the place, weird, don't like it. Like we're bouncing, we're doing the one thing, like it switches gears. But the more it just grew on me, and the more I liked it. So it worked. Again, I'm not going to argue any Beatles song. If it's not mine, I just still think you're an idiot if you don't realize what they did for music. And then not only what they did for music, but also they had good enough music to stick around. So, it's one thing to change music, but can you have staying power? And the Beatles have both. So, yeah, I'll give it that pass 100%. But yeah, I think it deserves it. I'm surprised it's this. Maybe there's another one, but I'm surprised it starts the list. But 29 to 160, so bar sucks again. Looks like that.
Hey, I'm in the lead.
It is time.
I should have.
Dance number 39, Dancing on My Own by Robin.
Brooklyn, okay.
Brooklyn, you have this one higher than I do.
So I did not think that this is the song that we were alluding to. But yeah, this is one that I discovered because of the playlist. I know Kelly Meehan is a big fan. But I just love the production, especially given the genre and everything that was kind of going on at that decade. Like synths were really coming back. Really the story of the song, you really don't kind of get what it's at until the chorus. I'm in the corner watching you kiss her, and it's about just seeing somebody you're still in love with, and they're after somebody else, and it has that presenting of everything is good with the beat and whatnot, but then the lyrics tell this entirely different story. Little things that I noticed on this re-listen, the just a little bit of reverb and echo on the electric keys as opposed to the synth that come in after the chorus, the do 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 do. Yeah, I know people don't like whenever you do do's or whatever, but yeah, this is just one that I think gets forgotten about for dance hits. I know if I were to play this at work, people would scratch their heads. But it deserves love, and I think more casual people need to hear this. Oh, good.
Hey guys, I'm so happy you included Dancing on My Own by Robin in your A Few Stones list. This is such a fantastic song. And I remember we had really good discussion about it for the 500 Stones, because this is in the Rolling Stone top 20 best songs that they decided. And I completely agree. What's so good about it is the juxtaposition of that driving electronic beat, Robin's really soft but crystal clear vocals, and then this really sad message. So it's one of the songs I remember hearing and being like, oh, that's got got a really good dance beat, and which is the point, you're dancing on your own, but is a really sort of melancholy message. And the heartbreak in those lyrics is just so profound. And I love the evocative lyrics of things like stilettos and broken bottles, I'm dancing around in circles. But just that chorus of, I'm in the corner watching you kiss her, why can't you see me? I think everyone's been in that sort of position where someone they really have a bit of a crush on or really like or have just broken up with, and they can't be with them. And when you see them with someone else, the absolute dagger to the chest that feels like. Now, I do like the Callum Scott version. The piano on that is glorious. A lot of sharps. And I do like the vocal delivery, but there's something about, like I said, that electronic beat driving. When that first couple notes start hitting, I'm like, here we go. I just think this is such a great choice. Have a great show, guys.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much for sending that in. We appreciate you. We love you. We need to have you back soon. So, it is the juxtaposition. The song is one of the greatest examples of that, because you have that driving, pulse pounding beat that kind of is purposefully beating you over the head with its kind of like, club EDM typical instrumentation. But then you have like the light fluttering keys kind of going through it to create this really melancholy kind of feel. And then you can hear Robin just like trying to swallow her emotions as she's singing this song. Like, it is heartbreaking, her performance of this. And it is just it's a song that makes you want to dance, but at the same time kind of sob and weep. The Callum Scott version makes him sound really whiny. Now, the Tiesto remix of it is really good, but it ain't this version. So, sorry, Cody, but go ahead. I know that you're going to rip this apart limb by limb. Yeah, okay, Brooklyn, one last thing.
How many more people get to talk? What are we doing here? You're muted. You don't even know how to unmute yourself. What the fuck are we doing?
How do you spell? Is Callum? I've never heard this version before, so I want to listen to it while Cody goes.
It's the version that the Phillies played when they were doing.
That's
their,
not how you.
Run.
Oh.
Okay. He sounds so whiny when he sings it. Oh yeah, I'm in the corner watching you kiss her. Of course he's whining, you dumb shit. He's sad because it's happening. Instead, this electronic beat that just fucking beats you over the head and can't barely hear her sing. And one note the entire way through. Oh, she's quivering. You can hear the emotion. Do you even hear yourself when you speak? You're a walking thesaurus. Bar, you just say buzzwords to say buzzwords. You sound like Paul in a debate. It doesn't make any sense what you're saying.
He usually wins.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Look at his record. He barely wins anything. He repeats himself. The issue with this song is, one, whatever. If you like that version of the song, fine. You just like electronic stuff. It's so annoying. As soon as it starts, I'm out. The problem I have is this fuckface above me is this was used for the Red Sox and the Phillies. The Phillies stole the Red Sox celebration song in the 2021 when they were going to the ALCS. They celebrated to the Callum Scott one and this one. It doesn't matter. They did not do this version. He's sitting here defending it. He is not a Philadelphia Philly fan. He is not tied to any emotions from Phillies. He just does it for the buzzwords. He puts the P on his head just because he wants to be popular. He's probably going to vote for a different flag. He probably roots for the Cowboys when they're playing games. He is not a real Philadelphia fan. He is a joke person.
So hold on, Brooklyn, real fast. I want to say something real fast.
Brooklyn. I'm calling on Brooklyn. I'm the man of the people. Brooklyn.
No, because my one thing, I was doing some Googling here because Kyle Schwarber was on the Red Sox in 2021 and then he moved to the Phillies the next year.
It wasn't even him. No. Kevin Puwacki, our backup catcher, is the one that brought the song. He's the one that had the song. He's the one that introduced the song. Kyle Schwarber did move over. He did bring the song, but that's cheap. Then when we were off call, this man had the audacity to attack Sweet Caroline. Like he is this god. No, shut up. You're allowed to because you're a Blue Jays fan. You're allowed to because you're a Blue Jays fan. Not this fucking trash human from Philadelphia.
I would just like to say
it's a sad song. The problem with this song that I have is it's too, and I understand if that's the idea behind it, it was done better. It's an emotional. It can be turned into an emotional song with this version instead of the version that you just can't hear over the stupid. What is that? What is as soon as the song plays? What is that thing that plays?
Oh, like that electronic bass.
Yes,
like that 808.
Yeah, and it's like a MIDI pad almost.
That thing, what they used to say is, oh, the classic joke is, what do you call 10,000 banjos at the bottom of the ocean? A good start? Whatever that thing is, needs to be in the bottom of the ocean tomorrow. That thing is awful. It is mind-numbing. I don't even care about the words because that sound. I get it if you're in a club and it plays, like that makes sense, but it doesn't play outside the club because it makes no sense to listen to something like that while you're driving around. You're crazy.
It's on my workout playlist.
It's either
you must not work out very often.
Drive home to, yeah.
Right. Trash.
Well, things are not about to get better for me because at number 38, The Times They Are A-Changin' by Bob Dylan.
8? You are the dumbest human possible.
8. Number 8 on my list. It is the best protest song, in my opinion. And it is the lyrics of this song, because the lyrics can get real cutting. Like one of my favorite lyrics of all time is, "Your old road is rapidly changing. Please go out of the new one if you can't lend your hand, because the times they are a-changing." It's like, get with the program. Times are changing, and if you don't change with it, you're gonna get left behind. And it is just a really sharply written song. One of Dylan's better performed songs. I'm not going to say that he sounds like amazing on it, but it's one of his better performed songs. And that little harmonica that kind of comes in really creates this grounded, intimate setting that I think is a sharp song.
Okay, so I'll echo some parts of what Andrew was saying. This is Bob Dylan's most efficiently written song. Like, he gets a bad rap from people. Like, I know Zach Ford gives him a bad rap of like kind of just rambling on to kind of fill out a song, and he can get like that. But I agree with you that a lot of these are very sharp sort of digs rather. My favorite line from the song in general is actually the opening of the second verse. Come writers and critics who prophesize with your pen. Keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again, and don't speak too soon, for the wheel still in spin. So it's almost like him sort of calling his shot of like, yeah, people are gonna like dissect the song, and like no matter what you do, like we're still going to keep progressing. And I really like that. Here's the bad part though. I might have this even too high. This might even be the wrong version, because the arrangement of it is bad. The guitar like has aged not great. If you want to hear a really good version of this, there's a band called The Other Favorites that gives us a much nicer pace to it. But I couldn't put it on my list given how new it is. But I agree that this song needs to be on here. I just don't think it's the Bob Dylan version anymore. It hasn't aged great.
Nicer? It's not supposed to sound nice. It's supposed.
But it's just like it's the guitar strum that you hear at every Saturday afternoon church.
That's what's supposed to bring the people in. Okay.
Like that gets boring after a while.
Okay.
It needs life. It
go
sounds stagnant.
Oh. No, Brooklyn, bring it back. He's trying to push you off because you're making a sound point, and he just doesn't want to hear the sound point. God. He's trying to just silence, Hey, times are changing, Bar. Other people get to talk other than you. Crazy. Listen, the interesting thing that you both just did was something really fun. You read the lyrics, and thank you for reading the lyrics, because other than that, you wouldn't know what the fuck this man said. Listen, if I Had a Dream by Martin Luther King was read by Mushmouth from Fat Albert, it doesn't have any effect on it. You can't understand it. It doesn't mean anything moving forward. Have you heard Tracy Chapman's version of this song too? That's also a great rendition. She does it live.
Good. Yeah.
It's very good. So this is fine. He just sucks. He sucks. And people give shit to like Elvis, and people like that are like, oh, this guy. This guy's only around for the time period. If he dropped in any other time frame besides when he came up, you would never heard of Bob Dylan. But since he was cool, you don't hear a word he's saying. A protest is useless if I can't make out the fucking words. Like, huh? What'd you say? I had to read the lyrics while listening to this to get what he was going for. I don't care about the arrangement. That will never be my problem. But again, Bob Dylan is literally of the time. Bob Dylan wouldn't be zero if he came out a decade later than he did. An 8 overall, there's no possible way. There is zero possibilities that when you're just driving around and you got 10 songs that you would pick this song to listen to. If you did, you should find the nearest light pole to drive into because that's a miserable life to live. This and Peter Gabriel, what do you do with your life? You have to be miserable.
I am a very sad person inside. All right. I think we're done with most of the songs that are going to anger Cody.
Yes, I'm done.
So they were towards the bottom of the list, at this section of the list at least.
I can't wait to hear Payson's commentary on this episode.
Where does this commentary exist? Where do I have to buy?
No, he just tells me. He'll send a message to me and be like, oh, nice, look what you did there.
Moving on to number 37. I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash. So I have this one higher. There's something, well, first of all, Johnny Cash. Like, the man's voice was just absolutely insane and incredible. And just like the way that he will draw out some of the words, just like, I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. It's just, it really creates like this really interesting sonic sound, like landscape. When you pair it with like the chugging guitar and the drums, it is just really good. Lyrically, there's just some kind of poetry to it that is just really, really nice, and it's really pleasant. And it's just smartly written. Like, it's another one of those where, to me, the main draw is Johnny Cash and the lyrics. Because it feels very personal. It feels very uniquely Johnny Cash. Yeah, it's one of the greatest songs of all time for a reason.
So it's one of the, like, I can't think of another song that attempts this line for arrangement where they're doing the key change, but then he's progressively going down and like lowering his range. And from a singing perspective, that's just as hard as moving up, because you need so much support from it and whatnot. So like, even just kind of going back and thinking about it, I really enjoy how they're able to give purpose to the key change, because then it kind of gives him like a gear shift for him to go down, because they're basically going from like F to B flat, and like the math kind of behind that, it all makes sense. But I agree with you, Andrew, in that the lyrics that he has kind of echoes that sort of descent into love, and just his voice is so soothing, especially given the bass. There aren't a ton of people anymore that are really going for that sound, so it's always a breath of fresh air whenever his songs come on. And also that riff at the start up with the guitar, that is such an incredibly influential riff, because I feel like, because anybody who tried to write a country song for the next like 40 years often went to that one, because it's a simple and effective guitar line. That it doesn't need to be super frilly and fancy. It's just it's the essential country tune, 3 chords and the truth. You're muted, Andrew.
I am. Yeah.
So are you, Cody?
No, he's not.
No, I know I'm muted. I was making fun of him being muted.
Go.
My turn?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've went on like a deep dive of like old like this time frame country, this like up to George Jones, like enjoying like that stuff of his music. By the way, I put the wrong George Jones song on earlier, even though "Stop Loving Her Today." If you've never listened to the Grand Tour, it's a fantastic, heartbreaking song. You should listen to it. On that note, "Walk the Line." This is a dealer's choice of what Cash song that like you put on there. I'm okay with basically any. He's absolutely just his voice is just so iconic. I wanted to make sure that we were doing the song and not the movie. Just wanted to make that clear. But no, I think it's an absolutely great song. Like as soon as it starts, like I would say if I was judging this from like instruments, not a lot going on, just very easy, very cut and dry. But overall, doesn't have to be when you have a voice like that and just can carry it through. And it's like honestly, "Walk the Line" is like a very like if you look at the lyrics, it's like a very like interesting like approach to that. Like where he does like it's very hard to be true. Like he's telling you the exact thing, but he walks the line. So yeah, I think Cash is like one of a kind. This is interesting. This is not for this topic, but like I just thought about like this. Like he's now got his family's like releasing stuff from him. Randy Travis is like now using AI for that voice. I think it's just an interesting time in music. Like, what's your guys' thought? Not on the subject, we'll talk later, but like on like reusing classic vocals to like put out newer music. I understand like the Randy Travis side of it because Travis is still alive but can't do what he was used to doing. But it's a slippery slope. I feel like it's weird, but
we've talked about it before. I have my take, but
okay.
but yeah, it's
We can talk
I
later.
agree. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, because I feel like you could put out a Cash album right now with Cash's voice, and I just feel like that's a weird.
You could even do what they did with Elton John, where like they made a country album of just Elton John covers, and it's like you could do like you probably wouldn't go as country. You could maybe go a little more. Yeah. I guess it'd be called Americana now, or like whatever they call it.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's a weird slope. I don't know how I feel about it, but yeah. We'll talk later.
Yeah. Moving on to number 36. Heart of Glass by Blondie.
Okay.
So I have this one higher, so I will start. And I'm going to start by saying I may have this one a little too high. It still deserves to be in the top 100. I still think it deserves to be in the top 100. Because, first of all, the instrumentation on this is fantastic. I meant to look up the drummer's name before we started recording. But that drum in this song is incredible. Like it is
Klemberg.
Thank you. Klemberg. It is balancing the line between rock and roll and disco so incredibly well. Like there is like a tension to that drum line and it is perfect. The guitar is absolutely, one of the more instantly recognizable guitar lines. Because it is so perfectly placed in the mix, and it's shimmery, it's tight, and it is just like instantly memorable. And then you have Debbie Harry, who, my God, I love her voice. She literally has one of my favorite voices when it comes to music. And there is a snark in her delivery that I think is just really nice. So, yeah, it's just a really sarcastic, biting song. And I think it's just delivered perfectly. And it's probably the song that I would say most represents new wave.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll agree with you in that like the drum work and the bass work as well is really well. Like, I had to give a shout out to Nigel Harrison. It's simple and effective, but this time on re-listen, because like we've talked with the song a lot, like even off of the 500 Stone show, like this album in particular has gotten as brought up by a couple of different guests. but I like the guitar work in the intro, especially just because I feel like in other songs it might try to go for a more like solo approach, but this time like it really sits back in the rhythm with the bass and the drums, and it really kind of fortifies it in a sense. What I like about the vocals in this is because Debbie Harry has such a high range, is that when you get into that solo in the end with the electric organ and the rest of the band, because it's mostly guys, so you have that lower register, and it's satisfying to hear, given the rest of the song. And then when she comes right back in, and then they cut out the music, I think that's just a nice little transition in a way to kind of keep the song fresh.
Cody, I think out of all of the songs on the playlist this week, this is the one that I was kind of most on the fence, where I thought you would lay on this. What are your thoughts?
I feel like it's cheesy, and I don't know how to like say it, but it sounds. I couldn't tell you I have ever listened to this song like by choice. I didn't know. When I saw Heart of Glass, I was like, what the hell? Now I can't say like once it played, I was like, oh, I've heard this before. But after listening to it for a while, I don't think it like climbed any higher for me overall. I think it's fine. But again, I wouldn't say this is my type of music. When did this song come out? 80s?
I want to say 78, maybe?
78. Cody, what's your guess?
I said 80s. I don't know, 80.
Okay. It came out in when did Parallel Lines come out? 78. Yeah.
I mean, you probably looked it up. You're a cheat.
No, I've like my
cheater. Anyways, yeah. So like, it's right. It feels like it's from like that kind of like, I don't know. It just didn't. It doesn't. It just sounds weird to me, and it sounds very repetitive. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how
I can see that.
It does have that 4 on the floor kind of rhythm and drive to it. So
listen, like overall, like Brooklyn's top 100. Yeah, there's some hit, but I'm telling you, Bar's top 100. I would delete that playlist for me. Like,
really, because I Want You Back by the Jackson 5 is in my top 100 as well.
Well, that's interesting that you said that, but it would also be in Brooklyn's top 100, so I'm not missing it.
God damn it.
Okay.
I have this higher, though. I think this is a perfect pop song. And by perfect, I mean like 10 out of 10, 5 stars, perfect pop song. There is a group, that bass line is just so fucking good. Like, it is complex too, so it's not like some simple like 4-chord bass line. It's actually like really interesting when you listen to it. The melody is so sticky, and it's just like when you combine that with young Michael Jackson's voice, like it just instantly puts me in a good mood. And the other thing that I really like about the song is the strings. I think the strings is like the perfect bow on this to like tie it all together. But yeah, like it's just a perfect, incredibly fun, bouncy pop song with a little bit of desperation in the lyrics. It's just a really good song.
Yeah. So I'll agree with what you're saying there. The instrumentation and the arrangement is really good. I think why they have the strings in there is that's the only instrument that can really match young Michael's voice. So whenever he needs a break in the song, like that's kind of the perfect spot to have it there. This bass line is fucking incredible. Like any bass player, like that's one of the first ones that you want to learn just because of how intricate it is. This is also a song that it's kind of hard to kill with a cover. Like I've heard multiple different versions of it.
Yeah.
I think there's enough going on in the arrangement itself that you can kind of interpret it in all these different ways. And then again, like how we were talking about like choruses that you can immediately grab onto. Oh, baby, give me one more chance. Won't you please let me back in your heart? Like I've seen a million people saying that like as a band is playing this. But yeah, it's a classic. I think it would be crazy not to talk about it, especially in this light. 35. It's again, the math is weird because like I would probably put it in between the 72 and 90. Maybe 90 is a little low on my end, but I like where Andrew has it at 72. I think that's kind of the perfect spot.
Cody, I know that you love the Jackson 5, so go ahead.
Yeah, I love Michael Jackson's music in general. I think he's covered in such controversy now, but overall, like what I tell everybody is like what's happening with Taylor right now is the closest is Michael. Like the closest that has ever been is Michael. And Michael is literally like a just what he was able to do at such a young age. This kid probably didn't date anybody. Didn't have any clue of I want somebody back overall. But versus this, you feel like such a true like feeling in that song. Again, not my department, would never rank it, but the opening of the song before it says before the first line is said is probably one of the most iconic openings of any song. Like it's instant. I think if you play just the first note of this song, I think most people can probably pull it. Like it's that, like it's something that just hits. So, and it's weird. It's so cheerful, but like he sounds like so like hopeful. Like I want this person back, but like again, probably hadn't had any real. So it's emotional. 35. It's weird you had 90, 72. I know how the math always works and puts it like this high up, but like I don't think you look at this at 35 and be like, really? Yeah. Honestly, you can put a lot of Michael pretty high. Like it's what he did. So.
And we will be talking about Michael at least one more time.
Yeah, I think so.
So, all right, moving on to number 34, September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Brooklyn goes first.
So, kind of similar to "I Want You Back." September is one of those rare songs because, like, I feel like a lot of the dance songs that we've talked about on this series are ones that can like sustain the energy. Like, if you already have like an uplifting beat going like on the dance floor, like you can throw on one of the other songs. September is one of the rare ones that can ignite that energy. Like, so many people, myself included, will hear this song and it's like, all right, we need to go dance this one. Like, it's one note we can't skip. Andrew and I were talking about this a couple days ago about a different song, but in particular, the bass line, what I love about it is the rest in like the second half of the riff, but I'll try to make sense of it because like that first half is like do 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 do, and then like the last part is like the last like do like yeah. Whenever you hear it, it'll make sense. But like when you're dancing to it, you're rocking on that bass line, and then when you hear those last two beats, that's the kind of the pivot point for you to kind of transition into something else. And I really enjoy that and how it's mixed with the horns and everything. I've said this about a different song before, but it's kind of the equivalent of jet skis. Like, you can't listen to this song sad. You have to have at least a bit of a shit-eating grin on your face when you're listening to it. Yeah, it's such a good song.
Hey, did you know that this song was recorded for a greatest hits album?
I did not.
Yeah, this song
is insane because usually songs written for greatest hits albums are kind of like, hey, we couldn't fit it on this album, let's just throw it on here.
Right?
Yeah.
And it became their best hit. Like that's such a wild thing to me. So I can't remember who it was, but it was like a co-writer or a musician or something or other. I think it was a co-writer of this song. When Earth, Wind, and Fire was recording this song and they started going with the body, she was like, why body, that's like such a random thing. And they go, when the groove is this tight, the words don't matter. And she was like, yep, no, you were right. After hearing the rest of the song, and it's true. Like the groove in this song is one of the greatest grooves of all time. When those horns come in at the beginning, you already know that this is going to be one of the greatest things ever, because there is just so much impact that has. The bass line is so nuts. There's like a little bit of a mistake in there at one point, but it kind of adds a little color to the instrumentation. But yeah, as they said, when the groove is this good, the lyrics don't matter. And it is one of the greatest grooves of all time. All right, Cody, I'm confusing Cody. I'm just gonna let him.
The
Go ahead.
lyrics don't matter. Shut up.
Well, they're still great.
I'll never
Also,
forget the 21st night of September. Go ahead.
Also, I'd like to say that if I was remaking this list, this would be in the 100.
Believe me, I could show you a lot of in your top 100 that you could take out. But I would still argue I Want You Back is better in my mind.
That's fair.
But again, I do like this because I think like like anybody says, "Do you remember?" and I just interrupt instantly with the 21st night of September. So no story ever gets finished. But no, overall, like I think it's I think they're so good with. They sound so good together. Like everything that they're able to accomplish. Yeah, I think it's just an incredible song. And as soon as I saw September, I had zero arguments. So yeah, great choice, and it definitely deserves to be on the list. And I again have zero issues for 34.
All right. Let's move on to number 33 then. Operator, That's Not the Way It Feels by Jim Croce. This is... So, Jim Croce grew up in the town adjacent to mine. Literally like the next town over. So Jim Croce has been a big part of my life for a long time. And this is the one. This is the Jim Croce song I think is his best song. The storytelling in this... yes, Cody.
I've just looked at the list. Do you want me to say it? I'm using my final switch.
Yeah.
All right.
This will be the end, but I don't know if we want to still talk about. I don't know how this. I forgot how this works, but
it's all
that's
good.
My choice.
We're gonna move on to the next song then. The new 33 on this list being "In My Life" by the Beatles. So Brooklyn actually has this one higher than me.
So yeah, I was kind of late to the Rubber Soul Train. And it's weird considering that this album is right up my alley for the folkiness of it. It didn't get into the all-time great until I heard somebody perform it at work, and I was really able to kind of ingest the lyrics and kind of what they mean. I love the little kind of like pre-chorus, kind of leads into the chorus. All these places had their moments with lovers and friends. I still can recall. Some are dead and some are living. But like again, how we're talking about each member has a moment to shine. They do it in an entirely different way. So like how we were talking about with A Day in the Life, where Ringo is using a lot of like the floor toms and whatnot. This one has a lot more of like this, like the cymbals and like tambourines. The biggest thing that I noticed this time on re-listen is how George is like dragging the guitar in the verses, and what I mean by that is like he's I forget the word I'm looking for, but he's making every string on the guitar like mean something, I guess, instead of just kind of riffing through it. He lets each note sort of shine in on itself, and then you go to that harpsichord solo. I think that's one of the best crafted solos, especially given how it ends and how it kind of dances around in the chord arrangement that it's in. But yeah, it's another pretty song. It's one of the ones where John really gets to shine in his vocalness, because I feel like in every other aspect, Paul is usually the better singer, but I think John is the better writer.
Okay. So there is a wistfulness to this song that is just really touching. You brought up the one lyric, like the line itself that I really love in the song the most is "Some are dead and some are living." Like, because it's a line that just like really puts things into perspective for the rest of the song. It's just a very sweet piece that when you tie it with John's vocals and that that solo, um, just adding this really interesting, beautiful um, little addition to it. It's just a song that is really moving, I would say. Uh, Cody, we know your thoughts on the Beatles, but what about this song?
I would put A Day in Life better than this one. That's just
Okay.
my take. Over listening to them back to back a lot this week. Overall, I like it. I think it's a fine song. I just like that one more. And again, my same thoughts for the Beatles continues. Like again, I I would again. I am not skilled enough to say this, but I don't know if like you guys are going obscure Beatles compared to like the hits Beatles. Like I would say this is less off the the global
Yeah,
scale.
Right.
yeah. This isn't like hold your hand territory
Right.
or like saw her standing there. Yeah.
I'd say it's one that's widely respected, but when it comes to what songs people like mostly associate with the Beatles, it's probably not like a top 10
It's
one.
my version of Billy Joel. Like I would go less popular than that. So that makes sense. No, I get it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, moving on to number 32 on the list, being Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. So yeah, it's kind of a cliche to put Stairway to Heaven on a list like this, especially in like the hundreds. And yeah, I get it. But like sometimes there's a reason that these things are cliches, um, because they're correct. It's just a really gothic, like epic piece. Um, there are lines in this song that you immediately remember right away. Like there's a lady who's sure that all that glitters is gold and she's buying a stairway to heaven. Like that is some imagery that just absolutely automatically sticks with you. And when the drive comes in on this song, it is just a powerful piece. Um, there's not really much else to say that hasn't been said before about Stairway to Heaven. So I'll use this time real quickly to say, check out the Heart version. The Heart version of this song also kicks fucking ass.
Yes. Yeah, the hard version is incredible, especially given how Robert Plant feels about the song. Like, I think that this is the best song that the original artist now hates. Because like Robert Plant has gone on record to say that like he doesn't relate to to this song at all, to the point where, and like I want to bring up this story because I think it's hilarious because I don't think any other artist has really ever done this. Robert Plant once donated to a radio station. I believe it was in Vancouver. Yeah. He donated to a radio DJ that refused to play Stairway to Heaven, and it actually boosted sponsorships for that station. So it just like it shows you what lengths somebody will go to, because like he's even referred to Stairway to Heaven as like their wedding song almost. But I agree with you. I love the opening line. It's a very interesting way to say that somebody is materialistic. But then yeah, like similar to scenes from an Italian restaurant or like Bohemian Rhapsody, it's epic in its movements. I think it does something similar to what Freebird does, but in a shorter amount of time. Especially you get to that lasting solo from Jimmy, and then Robert comes in, and there's a wind on down the road. Our shadow's taller than our soul. But yeah, and just how it takes that time to build into it, but then still has the graceful sort of landing that it has at the beginning. So it comes full circle. Has this gotten cliched and mean to death to the point where it even got used in Wayne's World? Absolutely. But does it still deserve to be talked about? Yeah, to an extent.
All right, Cody, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think when I saw it, I'm like, guys, come on, like, well, sure, like this could be like one of those omissions at the end, and be like, listen, Stairway to Heaven wouldn't be here, but like this is where it is. But overall, when you listen to it, it's still just an absolute. Just because it's been overplayed and done to death doesn't mean it's not one of the greatest songs to ever thing. I also still get goosebumps when I think it was at the Kennedy Honors when
Yes.
Hart did the version of Stairway to Heaven, and it's just and they're all watching along and like tearing up when they're doing it. It's a great song. But like
it feels like the one time Robert Plant actually liked his song.
yeah, like when it was done by somebody else at that point, And I always think like that, like there are songs that you get you like you have a hit or you put out a song and like even though you like it's a hit for you and it's made you a lot of money, how much how much do you hate that song? Because like you have to play it. Everybody's expecting to play it. If they don't, they hate your concert basically. So it's almost at that time where you just have to like do it. So it's interesting. It's interesting how that works. But again, just because it's there doesn't mean it's just because it's overplayed or it's that's the song doesn't mean it's not correct. So if it was one, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Well, yeah.
Come on. But 32, it to say Stairway to Heaven doesn't deserve a top 100 spot or top 50 spot, I think you're incorrect. I just think you are. Like, if two people came together and they're in the top 100, it deserves to be where it's at. I think it's fair.
All right, let's move on to the last song of the list. Y'all know what it is. It's Operator, That's Not the Way It Feels by Jim Croce. As I was saying, Jim Croce's been a big part of my life pretty much since like I was a child. And this is the one that's always resonated with me the most because the storytelling in this it's a great 3-act structure because each time at the beginning, like he changes it up a little bit. So, like you're a little bit further along in this conversation that he's having with this operator. And it's just the fact that it's this guy kind of pouring out his heart to just a voice on the phone. Like they're not even in person. It's just like this really interesting narrative in a sense. But then you like find out all of these things about, his ex and his friend that she ran off with. And the line that always gets me is I can't read the number that you just gave me. There's something in my eye. It happens every time. I think about the love that I thought would save me. Oh, heart-wrenching. Just like rip my heart out right now. Yeah, it is just like the sparse instrumentation and his voice just being as amazing as it is. It's an all-timer.
Yeah, so I didn't get on to Jim Croce until we really started doing this show. And then I took a deep dive in him with Hank whenever we had him on for Setlist, and I've been enthralled ever since. I love him. Mess Around the Gym, I think, is one of the best records ever.
Agreed.
But on this song in particular, and in general, we need to shout out Maury. Pronunciation Muhaleisen. I really don't know how to spell that. Muheleisen. Muhaleisen.
What'd you say about my mother?
Something like that. But
what was that, Azerbaijani?
He does such a really good job of accenting the rhythm because he's playing mostly leads and it's very like frilly sort of stuff, but it gives such a nice sort of transition into the verses, and then you get to the writing aspect of it, and I love the story. I actually have a weird kind of feeling on this. I think once you get to the third verse, there's a reasoning to kind of say that the person that he's trying to call is the operator. Because it's like operator, or let's forget about this call. There's no one there I really wanted to talk to. Thank you for the time. And then like how he ends the last line that you can keep the dime, where it was really just like, I think it was just him sort of saying like, oh, there is somebody that I want to talk to, but I can't say can't say that it's you. And then like the harmonies in this, especially in the chorus, like it's a lot of like lower harmonies, so it fills everything out. And then I have this too low. It should be top 100 in my opinion. It's gone up that much. But yeah, again, another great song, and I'm glad that Cody used his switcheroo on this, because of all the songs, I think this is the best.
All right, Cody.
Yeah, I don't know what the next playlist involves, and this, I would be wrong if I don't include the song. This song is just Jim Croce's voice, and just how he puts this song together is just awesome. It's like my best old ex-friend Ray, like where he's just calling the operator. Basically, how I've always interpreted, like trying to like just talk his way like through it before placing that actual call. Like just it's not. He's dealt with some heartbreak and some betrayal and all this stuff, and like dealing with it. But it's such a groove, like just a groovy like way of doing it. I love it. I think it's an absolute and awesome song. I'll once a week probably put it on at a random time, just because I love just how it sounds when I'm doing something in the kitchen or doing stuff. It just works. So again, don't know what's coming next. I only have one more, and like maybe next week's full of stuff that I'm okay with or where it's at. But I think this definitely needs to end it. And it's Stairway to Heaven would have ended it, I guess. But like I did you all a favor without being like, come on.
I agree.
Yeah,
All
you're
right,
23, so in yours, hey, this is one that you can keep in your top 100. So,
all right, so real quick before we get to what I just sent you, Cody, we're gonna go over this list. So, 40, A Day in the Life by the Beatles. 39, Dancing on My Own by Robin. Number 38, The Times They Are A-Changin' by Bob Dylan. I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash comes in at number 37. Number 36 is Heart of Glass by Blondie. I Want You Back by the Jackson 5 at number 35. Number 34 is September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. 33, In My Life by the Beatles. Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin coming in at number 32. And Operator, That's Not the Way It Feels by Jim Croce at number 31. Cody, I sent you the playlist for the next episode. What are your initial thoughts?
So one of these songs, no, maybe it wasn't. I just thought it was a different version already on the list. You can only have one version of what song on a list, correct? That's what your guys' rules were?
Nope.
So both versions of this one song are on this
Make
list?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's just bullshit. Then I should get a veto back because I used it to just do different whatever. That's bullshit. I thought you had to veto to change the thing. That's fine.
You got him.
It's the one. It's the one time it happens on our list.
I mean, I can't argue, but the reason that I justified it because I was like, that encompasses both. But yeah, I mean, there are two songs that, top 10 material in my eyes. But overall, I'm excited. I think there's a few.
Only two.
I mean 3. I could do 3. There's some that are just not popping in my brain right now. So
there's
maybe
one that
it's a click and a play, and then I'm like, okay, that makes more sense.
I will say that there is one song that you probably don't recognize by the name, but once you hear it, because of recent music events, like in the last year, you might say is overplayed or overrated. Find out what we mean by that next episode. Thank you all for watching Off Our Stones. This has been, I think, a really good episode. Brooklyn, any last thoughts before we sign off?
No, I'm excited for next week because even now as we're getting into to the great songs, even the ones that were kind of it's like each one deserves its own deep dive. And that's what I like about this is revisiting it and finding new angles to kind of look at it.
All right. Well, with that being said, that is Cody Newberry. That is Brooklyn Vale. I'm Andrew Barr. Thank you all for watching. Keep on rocking.
Drive safe.